Russia's defense ministry admitting using lung-busting thermobaric vacuum bombs in Chernihiv, that's about 80 miles north of Kyiv, destroying multiple buildings. So the rockets suck the oxygen from the surrounding area, and what that does is create stronger explosions and massive damage, coming after an airstrike reportedly hitting a maternity hospital and Mariupol, injuring 17. As the mayor of Kyiv says half the city's population already fleeing to save their lives. We'll check in now with correspondent Chuck Holton, live in Kyiv. He has the latest. Chuck.
Sean and Emma, that's right. The Russians appear to be stepping up the violence of their attacks, not necessarily able to make ground, to actually take ground. Here we are on day 15 of the invasion. According to captured Russian documents, this was the day they believed that they would have completely taken Ukraine by now, and they have yet to take more than 10% of the country. Most of the places they've taken have not been built-up areas, but that doesn't stop them from bombing those built-up areas, and that's what we're seeing in that horrible attack on the Children's Hospital in Mariupol with a 2,000-pound bomb that left a crater big enough for a house to fit into. And it's an absolute miracle that not more than 3 people were killed there because those children were safely in the bomb shelter in the basement when that hit. But again, those thermobaric bombs being used in Chernihiv, those things are fuel-air explosives. The United States only ever used one of those that we know of in the Afghan war. And that was in a rural area up in the mountains on a cave complex. But this being used against here, civilian built-up areas where they could cause massive damage and really horrific wounds to the people who are unlucky enough to be in the area.
Chuck, what is it? We understand that it may not hold much weight as far as what Russia is saying, but is Russia are they saying or taking responsibility that they're intentionally bombing civilian areas like these hospitals?
No, they're saying just the opposite. As a matter of fact, Sergei Lavrov said in a speech today, absolutely just a profane speech, that Russia is not, in fact, invading Ukraine. That's what he said. He said Russia's not attacking Ukraine right now. Ukraine is attacking Russia. They are denying any responsibility for this, and it's obvious to anybody who's here that that's not what's happening. But in reality, they're essentially losing at this point. When they are resorting to these kinds of civilian attacks, they're not able to take ground. They attacked the outskirts of Kyiv yesterday in a place called Brovary, and they lost an entire regiment of tanks to these Javelin missiles that have been supplied by the United States and others. And so their troops are really getting their heads handed to them everywhere they go, and the only thing that they're able to do successfully is bomb civilian areas. So this just speaks to the lack of training, lack of leadership, and lack of motivation of the Russian troops. And if they think that it's going to decrease the spirit of the Ukrainian fighters, I think they have that exactly backwards. It's only strengthening their resolve.
Yeah, as we approach, and we're officially in week 3 of this. Chuck Holton live in Kyiv with the very latest. Chuck, thank you.